Hi everyone, and welcome to this new challenge this week. This week's challenge may require some thorough self-exploration for some of you. If you have previously taken part in my 30-day no sugar challenge, you might already know the answer because we're going into different areas of this during that challenge. Either way, you can take this challenge as far as you want. So even if you've done it before, you can just push yourself and take it a little bit further. So I want you to figure out why it is that you are eating the foods that you don't actually want to eat. In theory, it's really, really easy to, I'm not gonna ever eat sugar again. It seems very simple, and it would be very simple to not do it. All you have to do is not put it in your mouth. So that's not how it works though. We are very rarely eating something for the nutritional need that we have. We might choose healthier things because we think that is healthy, but when it comes down to it, when we're eating things that we know that we shouldn't be eating, we're never eating them to fulfill a nutritional need. Okay? So most of us, we choose things or foods that taste good, which stimulate the dopamine release in our brains so that we feel good when we're eating those foods. And that's what it's usually about. We want to feel a certain way. We want to feel good by eating this type of food. So we all have our own reasons for why we're eating this food that we don't want to eat. For me, it's always something sugary. It can be anything from chocolate to ice cream to marzipan to licorice. As long as it has sugar in, I will eat it. I will crave certain types of sweet things much more than others. But in the end of the day, if you have something that contains sugar, I want licorice, but you have marshmallows, I'll take the marshmallows. It's fine. I'll do that. I'll probably still crave the licorice, and the next time I go and get something myself, I'll probably get the licorice because that would be on my mind. Anyway, since we have made food into something that feels good, most of us are using food to change the way we feel. So whenever we feel upset or bored or uncomfortable in any type of way, we know how to cure this. All we have to do is get something that tastes really nice, then we will get the dopamine release and we will feel happy. We'll feel content, relaxed, happy, able to maybe focus and do the things that we want to do. We will just get rid of these obsessive food thoughts that we have in the moment and that we feel good. Unfortunately, there is a downside to this, otherwise I bet you wouldn't be here. If we only felt good and maybe we didn't gain weight and got sick from eating these type of foods, you probably wouldn't want to quit. Of course you wouldn't, because it would be good for you in every sense. And this is actually the case for everything, all type of artificial dopamine stimulants. So whenever we are overexposing our dopamine receptors in the brain to dopamine, which we will from any type of processed foods, porn, social media, everything that is kind of exaggerated, something that is a multiplied signal, is not natural. It's just on steroids, basically. So that's with social media. Normally, you would have gotten a dopamine release from connecting with people one-to-one or in small groups, actually talking to people. When you're social media, you kind of get the sense that you are connecting with people by reading other people's messages. And there's so many of them and it goes so fast. And your brain is just lighting up like a Christmas tree. So it could be anything. But we're talking about food here. And anything that is processed will be metabolized in your body in a totally different way than the natural food ever would. Having said that, a lot of people will then say, hey, okay, but it should be okay for me to eat fruit. Because fruit is natural, and yes, fruit is natural. But the thing with fruit is that the natural fruit isn't natural in the way it used to be. It has been selected for and cultivated in a way that makes it contain a lot more sugar than the wild fruit ever did. So you need to keep this in mind, that we have altered things. So even though it's natural, it still contains the fibers and the phytonutrients and whatever, if you want to believe that that is good for you. The amount of sugar in fruit nowadays is just massive. Go out, find a wild apple, chew on it and see if you like it. Chances are that you won't. They're very tart. It's not much sugar in there. And you probably want to, cook them, if anything, to release those sugars. Okay. So, I almost lost my train of thought there. So, what is happening when we are eating something that will release so much dopamine into our brains is that we will quickly desensitize our receptors and downregulate them, etc. So we will have to keep increasing the amount of dopamine over time to get the same response. So this is why we can't have just one piece of cake and actually be satisfied. The first time you do it, you're probably going to be satisfied with just one piece of cake. But that will quickly go up to 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of cakes or a whole cake. Okay? And for some people, it doesn't stop there. They will keep eating until they feel sick, or even until they get sick and they throw up because they just overate and they couldn't stop. And I have never been there, but I can see that happening. I can see how that works. It's just that I have a different mental stop point, I guess. Anyway, I wasn't going to go into major detail about how this is working, but I guess that you get my point. What feeling is it that you are trying to get rid of when you eat the things that you actually don't want to eat? So ask yourself that question the next time you have a craving and you want to eat something. Why is it that I have this craving? What is it that makes me feel uncomfortable? What is it that I want to change right now and that I want to fix by eating this food? And really explore what's going on underneath and just write it down. And once you know what it is there another way for you to feel differently, or is it actually a feeling that you just have to accept, something that you don't actually need to change? Because we don't need to change every uncomfortable feeling that we have. So let me give you an example. Something that I always used to do. When I was bored, I always went to the fridge to look if there's something to eat. So my mom was always asking me, like, Pim, can't you just ever relax and sit still and not do anything? And I was like, nope, I need to do something. I'm bored, I need to eat. So that could be one thing that, you're bored. And boredom isn't bad. It's just a feeling. We don't need to fix boredom. I thought I needed to fix boredom. I still think I need to fix boredom. Unfortunately, I am so busy, I'm not ever bored. I just think it's nice now when I actually have a little bit of downtime. But that might be one of the things that you just want to learn to accept, and let yourself feel bored for 5 minutes. Whenever you recognize that you have the feeling that I'm feeling bored, just, okay, set your alarm, do whatever, and just be bored for 5 minutes. What's the worst thing that can happen? You were bored for 5 minutes. You don't have to fix that. Maybe you will discover that it's not actually that bad. Maybe you will notice that was actually quite nice and relaxing after all. So that's one type of feeling that you don't need to fix. There's no reason for you to fix that. Something else could be stress relief. Many people eat when they're stressed. And I got an itchy throat. So you can do the same thing with stress. You can either just accept that you're stressed and like, okay, a good way of dealing with that is just to take 5 minutes and I'm going to feel stressed. I'm going to explore that feeling and let it be there. What I would do probably though is to try and find a different way of dealing with this to reduce my stress in a non-food reward way. So you might have, go have a hot bath, get a massage, meditate, Something that I like doing is I like to foam roll, or you can do some stretching, for example. I like to foam roll it because if I'm stressed, it's usually like my whole body is kind of tense, and usually it happens after work and I'll be walking around and doing things. So just get down on the foam roller and roll my legs and roll my back up. It's not necessarily pleasant while I'm doing it, but once I'm done, I can kind of almost feel the blood actually running through my muscles much more readily than before. It's like that stress in your muscles, it just goes. So if I'm eating because I'm stressed and then I can get that feeling of relief, I'm going to feel so much better. You can also do things like go for a walk, just go outside and actually smell the air. Use all those other senses that you have that can give you some sort of pleasure. All of that can, first of all, give you a natural dopamine release in the brain. If you're eating a lot of processed foods or have any other kind of addictions, it's going to be harder for you to really appreciate it. But if you start doing it more and more and cut down on the other artificial ways of stimulating your dopamine receptors, you're going to feel much better when you do the natural things. But there's a transition period, unfortunately. So there's so many things that you can actually do that are good for you, rather than filling yourself with crap that isn't good for you. So that is my challenge for you this week. Why are you eating the things that you don't want to eat? And secondly, can you deal with it in any other way? So please let me know in the comments to this video, or even better, join the Facebook group if you're not there already, and leave a comment in there. Have a little discussion with everyone else who's there, who's taking part in this challenge. It's always fun for me to read and see when you are actually helping each other, coming up with ideas. Yes, why don't you do this for stress relief, or that, and this works for me. It's I love reading it because it just gives this community feeling, and you just helping each other out. So if you want more opinions than just mine, then go to the Facebook group, leave a comment there. And hopefully I will see you again next week. Thank you so much for watching, and have a brilliant day.